Hey, we're live now, though. So,
okay, good. Hey, Brett, we told you not to panic.
Yeah, you guys told me not to panic.
So negative. You're like, I got nothing to say. I'm just so happy.
I've never been more happy to be so wrong in my life. Obviously, you know, I just had to set myself up to be pleasantly surprised. So
that was a bad screenshot. Whoever took that.
It was me. It wasn't that bad though.
I was looking like that.
Like I said, gentlemen, we are live. So episode 24, the Vikings Territory Roundtable, starting right now. We're going to kind of build up as we get people onto the show. We're basically just going to recap the game. Got obviously a lot of great things to talk about. It's going to be a much more positive show tonight because the Minnesota Vikings looked exceptional tonight. Started off a little bit slow on offense, kind of took a few drives to get up to speed, but once they did, man, I don't think I've seen Bradford play a game at that level with the Vikings before. I was floored at some of the throws he was making, and we'll dive into some of those specifically, I'm sure, throughout the show, but the offense really started clicking, and once they did, the defense was able to hold Drew Brees and the highly touted Saints offense to 12 field goals when it matters, except for a late touchdown in garbage time to Kobe Fleener. So very, very exciting. What'd you guys think, man? Austin, what's got you pumped up the most?
I just, you know what? Everything that everyone said in the preseason about offense is going to be terrible, more of the same. The line's going to stink, yada, yada, yada. Run defense ain't fixed. Like, preseason matters, fine. And I get it's the regular season.
No, it doesn't.
What was that, Brett?
I didn't say nothing. Sam's here.
I just said we found out, no, it does not.
It does not. So,
in the Vikings game.
You know what? I think this game, like, on one hand, I'm not trying to overreact by saying, this was a fantastic performance. Vikings are going to the Super Bowl because the Saints defense ain't that great. Let's just be real about it. But at the same time, I think overreactions in the other way need to get booted out of here because Bradford was making amazing throws. Cook looks like the real deal despite a couple drops. That defense shut down Drew Brees and the Saints. I think they had, 3 long plays? Wayne's got burnt pretty bad. Neumann got burnt, and then
Fleener. There was the one where Fleener tossed the Vikings up the seam.
Yeah,
I'll admit right there that Fleener catch, when I saw it happen early in the third quarter, late in the second quarter, that made me a little bit nervous because I thought we were going to see the tight end destruction that we saw last season. But the Vikings were really good against Fleener.
Are we live right now?
We're live right now. Sorry, I started it when you went off to get pizza.
It should be free flowing like that.
I'll be getting my pizza pretty quick here anyway. I still got to do that.
Yeah. So the plan for tonight is to really just sit around, talk about the game. We're gonna bring some people onto the show. So
we are okay.
BJ, if you wouldn't mind throwing that into the chat, the link to the Appear In room. Sam, Drew, maybe put that Appear In link out there now. And Austin's going to be screening you guys. So here's the deal. Look, if you want to get into the room to hang out with us and ask a question or tell us who your player of the game was, you got to have a webcam. You got to have a pretty decent internet connection. And we're going to ask you to, I know you're pumped up. We're going to ask you to try and keep it clean because we like to keep this PG-13 for the most part. But yeah, I mean, the goal is to bring you guys on the show in our YouTube channel. We're going to have the live chat going. BJ's monitoring that. He's going to be feeding questions throughout. So anyway, let's talk about this. Okay, let's talk about Adrian Peterson for a second. Okay, we talked about him leading up to the game, obviously coming back to Minnesota. Big expectations for him. I was kind of the guy last week that was saying, of course he's going to come in and torch the Vikings because the Vikings. I just like to set myself up to be pleasantly surprised and be the pessimist because then I can feel like I feel right now, like I'm on cloud 9. But what was Peterson's final stat line? Anyone have that?
Oh, I got it for you, Brett. Don't worry about that. 6 carries, 18 yards, 1 loss. Hashtag washed.
Hashtag washed, right? Okay, so the Vikings completely shut down Adrian Peterson. As we all expected, Peterson didn't get a ton of run. He really did look like the third running back on that team tonight. That may be because the other two guys are, way talented. A lot of people really hyped up about Alvin Kamara. It also may be because Peterson is, like BJ said, washed. When Peterson was in the game, he was getting stuffed, and you could tell he was visibly frustrated. I mean, did you guys see him on the sidelines chasing off after Payton, yelling at him?
That was pretty good. I saw who somebody tweeted and put the picture and said you could cut the tension with a switch. I thought that was good. I thought that was pretty good.
That
was pretty good. I will not take credit for that. I'll have to go find exactly who that was, but yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. Twitter was fun tonight.
Austin, who we got here? Austin, you're muted, buddy.
Austin, got to unmute.
I couldn't get myself off, but it's Hoodie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look who it is. No, it's Don from Ohio.
What's up, Don from Ohio?
I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave and get my pizza now. Okay.
Go get it.
Hey, Drew, it's past your bedtime anyway. Get out of here.
Huh?
It's past your bedtime. Get out of here.
Hey, I had the under on 5 seconds for Drew's joke, so I think I win.
Is it dark enough? Is it dark enough in your dungeon there, Don?
Is it dark enough? Yes. Yes.
What kind of voodoo magic are you cooking up in that cellar?
Yeah.
So, Don, are we calling you Don now, or you want us to call you Hoodie? What's the deal?
Call me whatever you want. Call me whatever you want.
Don't tell me that. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll always be Hoodie.
So, man, so give us something, Don. What do you think, man? Thoughts on the game?
How about Riley Reiff?
How about Riley Reiff?
Let's give Riley Reiff a round of applause.
How about Riley?
Hey, honestly, I mean, this offensive line was tremendous tonight. I mean, they weren't all pro or anything, but they did their job. I mean, that's all you had to ask. That's all we've wanted to ask. Give us average. Yes. Give us average. It's all we want. But there's someone posted 35 pass blocking attempts by Reiff. Didn't give up anything. So that was phenomenal. And you can't. How can you? You can't beat that. I mean, so I'm really happy about that. Cook's going to be what he's going to be. I think he's going to. I mean, it's just one game, but it's really nice. And hey, defense played as they were supposed to. If we can get anything close to this from the offense from this point forward, I like our chances this year. I really do.
What was the stat last year when the Vikings scored at least 21 points, Drew? I know you got the number for me.
7-1. The Vikings were 7-1 when they scored 20, and 1-7 when they did not.
So obviously they get 29 points tonight, and they essentially neutralize the number 2 offense in terms of scoring points last season, the number 1 offense in terms of racking up yards last season. Drew Brees has thrown at least 1 touchdown pass in 108 of the past 112 games, and he didn't get his touchdown pass tonight until late in garbage time. So Vikings defense certainly is going to do enough. I mean, this may not be the best example in terms of what they can do on offense, because like Austin said, the Saints defense is pretty much garbage. But in terms of their defensive prowess, we got a first-hand display of what they can do against a high-octane offense tonight.
Hey, Austin, show off that jersey you're wearing right now. Who is it?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. How about Sam tonight, guys?
Even Team Teddy's team sleeves tonight. Hey,
I hope so.
Hey, Don, we got another guy waiting to come in, so we appreciate you stopping by. And do you say I don't care?
Are you kidding me? You're kicking me out already?
Well, you can come back, but we're trying to bring people in and get it rolling.
Be more important than me.
No, they're definitely not more.
Someone with better lighting than you, probably.
Right.
Go to bed.
All right, buddy.
Later, guys. I'll come back.
Yep. All right, next guy coming in. I think that's a Jared Allen jersey.
Nice.
Check.
Or it's Rashad Hill. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, maybe Rashad Hill.
I'm sort of monitoring the chat here, so while we wait for this guy to get in here, we got a question from Anthony.
Hold your question. One sec. He's in.
Hold it? Okay.
He's in. What's up, man? Welcome to the roundtable. What's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew, thanks for joining us tonight, man. What do you think about the game? You got a question?
Hold up. Look at this guy here. He's got the headphones set up. He's got the microphone set up. We have no audio or camera issues. I'm proud of you, man. Thanks for joining the roundtable and marking off all the items on our checklist here.
Round of applause. So Andrew, you got something you want to say? You want to give a round of applause to a particular player? You got a question or?
I was really impressed with the offensive line. I was really worried about that coming into the game. I was looking at like Seattle's offensive line and how terrible they were, and I was just thinking, man, this is going to be a bad year. But after seeing this, I have hope that they'll maintain it. Elflein looked good. Yes. Reiff looked good.
Did you see him get out on that screen to, I believe it was McKinnon or somebody, just plowed him into the second row.
Yep.
That was fun.
I was impressed with Cook as well.
Hold up, time out for one second. Let's get back to Elflein right here in the offensive line because we did have a question in the chat room about him. We can start with you here. What did you think of Elflein specifically? You mentioned obviously you were very impressed with the offensive line, but Elflein, the rookie as a whole, what did you think of his performance and debut as center?
Yeah, I think he looked great. I mean, he was good in pass protection. Run blocking as a whole up the middle wasn't great, but I mean, getting on the outside, he seemed to set the edge. The offensive line did. They looked good, and Elflein particularly, he looked good. He looks like he could be a center for many, many years.
Okay, so let me ask this of you guys really quick, okay? Because I like to overreact on the negative side sometimes, so I'm gonna try and maybe temper the overreaction on the positive side. And I just want to ask you guys this: how good is the Saints defense? And how much is this game going to be a measurement for how the offensive line is going to perform the rest of the season, you think? Go ahead, Austin.
I don't think the defense as a whole is great. BJ hit the point. I think in his game preview, he said Cameron Jordan is a guy to watch. Sheldon Rankins is a guy to watch. So they have individual talent. I don't think that their talent as a front seven is necessarily Seahawks-like, Packers-like. But they've got guys who can disrupt the run. And I think if you're a Vikings fan, you're encouraged by more of the scheme and seeing offensive linemen on the move and getting out and using their skills, and actually forming pockets around Sam Bradford. Like Sam Bradford had like 3 seconds to throw, and that's like 10 seconds compared to last year.
It was insane, man. I thought, I mean, you saw some of those pockets that they were showing in the replays and how much time he had. It was like I was watching a different offensive line. Like I couldn't have been more happy about the performance of the offensive line tonight.
You saw Elflein getting out in space.
Sam, you're muted, buddy. Or not, or not. Maybe he's not muted. Andrew, man, we appreciate you stopping by, dude.
Thanks.
Props, like BJ said, on the headphones and the good setup. That's kind of rare on the show so far. Usually we get guys like Don in here with.
Definitely set the bar for people coming in here moving forward. If they don't have headphones like you, then they're gonna get out of here.
They also have to be named Andrew, I think, right? That
sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mediocre name, but
Rude.
All right, Andrew. Thanks, man.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, let's go. Oops. All right, cool. So, BJ, you got some like a question lined up or anything in the chat, or should we move on? Or
well, let's talk a little bit more about the question you just posed right there, Brett. How to gauge what we saw from the Vikings offense against this defense today, because I think that's probably the number one thing that fans are going to be thinking about moving into next week. Is this a good baseline for expectations in terms of what can the offense do? We got, I believe it's the Steelers next week, which is probably a more complete defensive unit. Like Austin said, Saints defense has a ton of great individual pieces. Sheldon Rankins actually got in for a sack today. You could see what type of damage he could do from the interior. But that secondary of the Saints did not hold up well. I mean, how about all the explosive plays that we've been hearing about all offseason that we've been so pessimistic about actually coming to fruition, and all of a sudden the Vikings are breaking them off with regularity. And Sam Bradford was not only accurate downfield, he was like critically accurate. Dude. It was surgical, especially that pass that he had to Jarius Wright over the middle towards their, like when it was in double coverage and he fit that in through the seam to get another first down. First of all, that's what Jarius Wright brings to the field. That's why he's still on the roster. And second of all, Sam Bradford, man, I mean, we've been saying this for how many roundtables, but this dude deserves some respect.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Sam.
No, sorry. What I always think is interesting is when they show the field level replay, where you got the camera that's basically going over the field, so you can see sort of what the quarterback's seeing, and they're showing those replays. A lot of the time, Sam Bradford can't even see the receiver because you got the guy underneath, and then you have the safety or the corner, whoever's.
Same thing.
whoever is covering him. Yeah, exactly. And yet the right play, and then one to Diggs as well, and I believe one to Thielen. So it's like it's just simple to me that the Vikings have good receivers. They have a good receiving core, and they have a good quarterback. So when you give them time, this is what happens. I totally agree, BJ. I haven't seen many quarterbacks throw this accurately consistently. Some of those drives he put together, he just didn't miss. And how many drops were there? What do you have, 6, 7 incompletions and 4 of them were drops?
Dalvin Cook had 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a bit. That was probably one negative. But I mean, I gotta give credit where it's due, man. You know, I've kind of been hard on Bradford, and tonight he was playing on another level, man. I mean, it was. I had people texting me that are not Bradford fans saying, like, you know, not even Vikings fans, just third party watching Bradford play, and they were just like, Bradford looks like a man possessed tonight with some of these throws. I haven't seen every throw Bradford's made with other teams, but certainly some of the throws tonight were the best throws he's ever made as a Viking. I mean,
we've got a point here. It's not necessarily a question or a thought, but a point here from the Big Herman 007. He said first 2 or 3 drives were kind of scary. Glad that Sleeves stepped up. That just reminded me, the Vikings offense did not necessarily start off very well tonight. But Sam Bradford, once he started to get his, felt like once he got his feet wet a little bit,
well,
and was a little more
once everybody started tweeting about checkdowns and
climbing
them frustrated. Yeah, climbing the pocket. Yeah, then he read the tweets on the sidelines, went out, and then that was immediately that 3-play drive, and it was like boom, 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 touchdown to Diggs, right?
That was crazy, dude.
Beautiful drives. It was the Thielen deep crosser, the Jarius Wright dime when he couldn't even see Wright over the defender, and then Diggs open in the end zone. Wasn't
that right around the time when Jim Kleinsasser came on the Jumbotron? Do you think that inspired him?
Yes. I mean, so going to your point, BJ, like I was messaging Adam Warwas during the game, because we were just going back and forth about it, and that was basically what I told him, is like, the defense looks great, but the offense is slow to start, and the defense can only hang on for so long typically with a guy like Breeze, you know what I mean? So if you're not ending drives with touchdowns and you're settling for field goals, typically with a guy like Breeze in the Saints offense, that's going to come back to bite you. And as soon as I said that third drive, that was that spectacular drive from Bradford where he came out and had those 3 dimes, and the last one in the end zone to Diggs. So let's talk about those 2 guys tonight, man, because Thielen and Diggs were also just completely playing on another level tonight. I mean, Thielen they both had incredible catches too, but Thielen seemed like he was just picking these passes out of the air that maybe you wouldn't normally expect to see him make because they're maybe a little high. I'm not trying to diss Bradford, but he kind of had to go up to get them. And incredible catches from Thielen, incredible catches from Diggs. Diggs was unguardable tonight, man. You could not guard him. So I don't know. Anything surprise you about those 2 tonight? Well, I know you want to talk about Thielen a little bit, Drew.
Right. Well, with Diggs, my concern with him, not concern, more of a knock, I guess, if anything. The one thing that's not been great about Diggs as a receiver has been his contested catchability. I feel like he hasn't always won those 50-50 balls, and tonight he did multiple times. So that was cool. And then I don't want to toot my own horn here about Adam Thielen having 1,200 yards, but I'm on a good pace right now. So.
Hey, how about, just to go off your point about Diggs in the catch and traffic situations, how about the lick he took from Kenny Vaccaro right in his face, and he still held on to that ball?
And popped right up.
Right. So on top of making the reception a ball that, it looked like a Larry Fitzgerald-like catch and traffic, honestly. He got popped and just fell over and popped right back up and get the 15-yard flag on top of the reception. That's just a huge, that's a game-changing play. If he can continue to do that type of thing, who's going to stop Stephon Diggs? The thing that stopped Diggs from having even more receptions tonight, I believe he had 7 in the first half and none in the second half, was the fact that the Saints offense couldn't keep up. And all of a sudden Diggs it wasn't necessary for the Vikings to continue throwing the ball as much. So, Diggs could catch 100 balls this year. Thielen, I don't know what, Drew, you mentioned it yourself. He could go over 1,000 yards easily. Both of them could go over 1,000 yards if this rate of play, keeps up. Obviously, it's one game, so let's temper it a little bit. But great performance. Really took advantage of that secondary in New Orleans that we know is not great.
Yep. Brett, you're on mute.
Oh, Brett is muted.
My bad.
There you go.
I was typing something. So just a reminder, we've been putting out the link for the appear in link. If you want to get on the show, please don't be shy. Just have a nice not a nice camera, but I mean a decent camera, so we can see you, not from your phone, and have some sort of headphones or something, so we can be able to hear you. And also drop us your questions in the live chat. BJ's monitoring the live chat. We'd love to answer some questions, comments, your takes on the game. So let's talk about. I want to talk about
Dalvin Cook.
I was going to say Dalvin Cook. So anyone want to start us off on Dalvin Cook's first game as a Minnesota Viking?
Sure.
Go ahead, Austin.
People are going to look at the game and say he got stuffed to the line of scrimmage, and it didn't seem like the Vikings were doing a good job run blocking. And I think that's fair, but I think you also saw, one, this dude's really fast. He gets to the edge and he pulls away from guys. And two, where there weren't holes last year, he seems to be finding creases and getting skinny in the hole and breaking through for, what last year would have been 2-yard gains, negative 2-yard gains, and turning them into 4, 5, 6-yard gains. And I think, just to take a step back, I think what's important is I didn't see the Vikings do a lot of gimmicky stuff tonight. There wasn't a lot of, fly sweeps, and the reverse didn't work out. But
reverse to Diggs, yeah.
Yeah, that's almost indicative to me that this team finally understands what they have in an offensive line, what they have in a running back, and how they can win football games just by, running the rock and letting their guys do what they do best, and instead of forcing plays because you can't produce. And so I think Cooks is going to be special. I think when you break Adrian Peterson's rushing record, and not because they're force feeding him the ball. What did he average? 5 yards a carry tonight? I think it was
22
close.
carries for 127 or something like that.
It's over 5 yards. So
Right. And a lot of that was closeout time on those last two drives.
I was just going to say, how about him running out of the shotgun? We talked all of, basically for the last couple of years when Teddy was at the helm and Adrian was in the backfield, we were complaining about how the Vikings offense was essentially telegraphing their plays because Adrian can't run the ball out of the shotgun. And we saw Dalvin Cook quite literally close out the game with, a 33-yard rush out of the shotgun where he exploded to the outside and really blew up downfield. I mean, that put the nail in the coffin, and that was something the Vikings couldn't do, as early as maybe last year. This is a dramatic change in terms of what the offense can do. That's a huge takeaway for me. And also his blitz pickup too. I just want to say that was absolute fire all night long. It wasn't just picking up blitzes; it was hitting guys with authority. Really throwing his hands up there, getting him high up on the shoulder pads, and letting him know that Dalvin Cook isn't just going to be back there to run the ball. He's out there to make plays in the passing game as well.
So,
and those to me, sorry, real quick, just because Adrian played tonight, and we were talking about Adrian a little bit, those to me were the two biggest knocks on him by far. His running out of the shotgun and his pass blocking, which he was never very good at. I think Adrian Peterson being a really, really bad receiver is dramatically overblown. I think he was an average pass catcher. He was never that good. I saw so much on Twitter. Hey, Adrian, that's what it looks like for a running back to catch the ball tonight. Okay, all right, I get we want to pile on him and everything. We're happy to have Dalvin Cook. But like you said, that just him being able to trust him, a rookie, by the way, to block better than your Hall of Fame running back is pretty impressive. And it changes you as an offense.
Are we surprised that Peterson got booed? Because I am very surprised by that.
Did he get booed? Because I actually wasn't on Twitter, and I kind of got late to the party.
I heard from people at the game. I heard it was way more boos than cheers.
It wasn't a positive reception. It was boos. It was boos.
You know what I mean? And not to spend too much time back on Peterson, but this is exactly what we were talking about, right? His reaction on the sideline to not getting the ball. And the look on his face, and when he stormed off the field on the play action at the goal line, which everyone knew was coming, right? Everyone knew that play action to Peterson rollout was coming. I think that's what Vikings fan had kind of grown tired of, the me first attitude, the expectation that he has to be fed the ball when the performance isn't really matching, what he thinks he can do because he's #washed. So I think we all gotta look at that tonight, and I think a lot of the world saw kind of what we had been talking about, with Peterson for the past year or so. Go ahead, Drew.
I have a stat here I just saw on Twitter.
Yeah, and then I got a question too in the chat. So go ahead.
At Krauser Ific, So Dalvin Cook had runs of 32 and 33 yards tonight in the fourth quarter. Adrian Peterson last had 2 runs of 30 yards in the same game, December 16th, 2012, against the Rams.
Wow. Yeah, and important worth noting that Cook did break Peterson's record of his first regular season game debut. Yeah. I think Cook was 133 yards. Peterson had like 107 or something in that area. I'm sorry, Cook 127 yards. So we got a question in the chat from I'm gonna butcher the name.
I got it, Brett. It's from Nowash20.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think Eric Kendricks may have surpassed Barr for the number 1 linebacker? And at the same time, we also have a question from Andrew C. Mons. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. He said, how did Barr look? So I think those kind of work hand in hand. So the linebacker situation, what you guys think of Eric Kendricks tonight? What do you think of Anthony Barr tonight? And I guess to go off of the question, is Eric Kendricks the the quote number 1 linebacker? That's not really a thing. But, I guess I understand what he's saying.
I don't know. They play different positions, so you're going to have one guy in Kendricks who's everywhere, and another guy in Barr who picks and chooses his spots based on the play. I don't know about everyone else, but I thought Barr looked faster, quicker, more engaged than he did all of last year.
Kamara for a 6-yard loss was pretty.
Yeah, he looked explosive.
Yeah, he looked more explosive than he did last year. Kendricks looked great. I thought he played really well.
First couple drives, especially.
Yeah, he made an impact the first couple drives, and that weird first drive that was a 3-and-out that they gave him a first down after a negative rush.
Yeah, what happened there?
Was that? Anyway,
I was so confused when that happened because it was first down, and I was like, wait a second, didn't he rush for a loss on 2nd and 1? I don't understand how he got the first down. Anyway,
I don't know. They look good, and I thought Gideon.
Yeah, what about Gideon?
He picked his play up late. He was good on a play where a rookie isn't usually good. He was good on that play-action rollout in the goal line.
He was excellent on that. The way he picked up Adrian, he was excellent.
Yeah, you got to find some positive. He wasn't good otherwise.
I've got to look back at the tape for Gideon, but from what I saw live, he got
murdered on that one screen.
Yeah, he got absolutely caked on that early screen that led to about a 15 or 20-yard gain. He wasn't necessarily in great position as a tackler all night long, but again, that's something I probably have to go back and watch the all 22 of. But as a whole, Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks were excellent. I would say if we're doing grades based off of A, B, C, D, E, F, I would say Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks were both A's in my personal opinion, and Gideon was more like a C or a D, but that's somewhat to be expected from a rookie, as Austin just said.
I totally agree. He got burned on, I think, one long seam route from Kobe Fleener, too, in the middle of the field. But this is exactly what Brett was saying before the game that he was concerned with, was Drew Brees attacking these linebackers in the middle of the field with tight ends. And so I just think he's so good at that when he identifies a rookie he's going to throw at him. Not to make excuses for Gideon so much, because I don't think he was great, but I don't know that this is an indication that we have to be worried about him. If that makes sense.
You guys want to move on to the secondary here? We've got a question from Anthony Grudel.
Hey, BJ, can we get this guy in the room really quick if he's got a good camera?
We've got a good camera and a sweet headset, so I'm going to let him.
Let's go.
All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah, you weren't kidding about the sweet headset.
Hello, sir. What's your name? How are you?
Hey, what's going on? My name's John.
What's up, John?
John.
You feeling good tonight?
Yeah, I'm feeling great tonight.
We are appreciating your awesome headset because you sound crystal clear.
And that awesome jersey, too.
So John, what's up, man? You got a question? You want to talk about the game a little bit? Any takeaways?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the I think the O-line really stepped up tonight. The pass defense, or pass allowing Sam Bradford, the pass protection was really there. I think they get a couple more run protection like they did for Jared at the end of I think it's he had that good run from the 10 when Cooks went out with the. I guess they were checking for concussion when he got that head hit.
Sure.
But Jared McKinnon went in and had that C part for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was a nice diagnosis from Sam Bradford too, right?
Yeah, because he checked out of the pass into a run.
Yeah, that was a ballsy audible, by the way.
Yeah,
third and 6.
Third and 6, and McKinnon. Yeah, that was that play had the recipe for Twitter to explode and say, why would you run the ball on third down? But all of a sudden you run the ball effectively on third down, and I guess people have to eat their words, right? That was a hell of a check. Call up the line, excuse me. I get used to saying check down with Sam Bradford. But yeah,
really not tonight, DJ.
I think he's been watching that on Twitter because he threw that bullet in. Like, it didn't end up in a touchdown, but he threw that bullet, like, and just hit him in the chest and just hit him too hard to bounce back. That could have been a touchdown easily.
That was the one, Drew, we were talking about early on, that where it looked like he had a running lane there and maybe could have made it in, and then we were all like,
I thought he was going to run it in on that one.
Like, maybe not the best
then
idea
you saw
for
like
Bradford.
you saw like 100 people on Twitter go, "Well, Teddy would have ran that one in."
Yeah, but Bradford's knee would have exploded. So
I want no part of Sam Bradford trying to make
Helicopter,
running
John
bulldozing
Elway.
plays. Yeah, on the goal line.
Yeah, well, John, game ball. Who are you giving a game ball to tonight?
You know, Diggs got all the touchdowns, but I think it's got to go to Thielen. He pulled off some amazing, just grab him out of the air balls.
Plucked them.
Absolutely. Well, all right, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We hope to see you next week,
guys.
man.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Go Vikes.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
All right, so now let's get back into this this question that I was bringing up before. It's moving on to the secondary now. I'm going to combine a couple of them here. One from Anthony Grudel saying, "How do you think Waynes and Alex played?" Another one from Andrew, the last name that I announced, I apologize, saying, "Has Neumann lost a step?" And then he said in parentheses, "It would be expected because of his age." So I guess, what do you guys think of what the Vikings secondary did as a whole? It sounds like that's kind of would be the best way to, all encompass the questions that we're getting here on the Vikings secondary.
Which one of you guys wants to take that?
I'll say it just because I'm the positive person here. Like, I get that Waynes got beat and it was ugly and it was bad. He wasn't in terrible trail position. He got beat on a double move. But I thought the rest of his game wasn't bad. He was in good spots most of the night. He solid tackler, looked willing in run support. He's a number 2 cornerback, and BJ's made that point a lot, that he plays like a number 2 cornerback. You're gonna have guys that get burnt. I know he's a first round draft pick, but I didn't think he was bad. And Mac Alexander, I thought, had a really good game for all the talk about him being a guy that the team lost confidence in, and a guy that doesn't know what he's doing and struggles. He had a couple nice plays in the end zone, and I think those are real confidence builders for someone like him.
Right. I think the routes that beat the Vikings, it was for one thing, they were mostly short gainers, but I think a lot of them too were just timing stuff that most teams, especially have Drew Brees at quarterback, and you have the chemistry that he and Thomas built last year, Michael Thomas. You're going to give up those plays. So I think the Vikings gave up those, kind of let Brees get his let Brees in that aspect, but they didn't allow the big play for the most part besides Waynes. And then I think Neumann was beat out of the slot, which I kind of think is expected given that he's 39. So, but overall, I mean, he held the top 3 passer in the NFL to a relatively standard, nothing special game, which is a win in my book anyway.
So how do you guys think Tremaine Brock fits into the equation next week if he's healthy? Since he was out tonight, honestly, just adds to the depth. I think Austin just brought up a nice point that Mackenzie Alexander was fairly sufficient in his role when he was out there. We saw him make a nice pass breakup on the goal line that forced yet another Saints field goal. I thought the Vikings defense as a whole, particularly the secondary, wasn't necessarily great in the middle of the field as the Saints worked the ball into the red zone. But as soon as Drew Brees got the ball into the red zone, we saw handcuffs put on pretty much all their receivers. Brees was having trouble fitting it into tight windows. Rhodes was we didn't even hear Rhodes' name the entire night. Michael Thomas, non-existent. That's. When you don't hear a cornerback's name, it's kind of like not hearing an offensive tackle's name, right? It means they're probably doing something really good. So the Vikings secondary as a whole, if we go back to the grading thing, Rhodes gets an A from me. Waynes, I'll give a B. I'll give a B to Mackenzie Alexander as well. I thought Terrence Newman was probably more like a C or a D because he did get clipped on a couple of those plays that, I thought that he probably should have made. But as a whole, you didn't hear their names called very much against, like I said, one of the best offenses of the last half decade. Right. And like I was saying earlier, I was like asking if this was a good litmus test for the Vikings offense, because we're not really sure how strong the Saints defense is. There's been some talk that they're an improved unit this year. Even Gruden was kind of touting them before the game. On the other hand of that, I think the Saints offense is certainly a great litmus test for the Vikings defense because, like you were saying, BJ, I mean, this is one of the best offenses in the NFL year after year after year after year. And yeah, you know, Drew Brees doesn't play as well as he does on the road as he does at home, but even his stats on the road are still above, you know, those of an above average quarterback. So I think for the Vikings, I think, and that's what we saw too, right? We saw, you know, a little bit of bend, and then once we got down into the red zone, they stood up and they held them to field goals. And anytime you can hold the Saints offense to 4 field goals, I mean, you can't ask for more than that, really. So we got a question from Isaiah I'm going to throw out there really quick. He basically, and I kind of wanted this too, wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. What did you think about the kick returns from McKinnon? Anyone impressed or?
Yeah. Well, he had a couple of good ones. I mean, he
got like a 35-yarder, right?
He's getting a feel for the position.
Yeah, he needs to get a better feel for the position and when to take a knee and when not to.
Especially when you're 7 yards deep in the end zone, take a knee. There, I got it. I figured it out for him.
Yep, just like you don't fair catch, you know, when you're in between the 10 and the goal line, just add a little bit. But, you know, he looked explosive. He's one of those guys that's never going to look like he's running fast, even though he's fast. He's got one speed and it's fast. But I think there's times where he hesitates too long. And, Brett, you said it in the chat, like, he's not Cordell Patterson. He's not as decisive, and I think that's going to take time for someone like him. But it's nice to see them using him at kick returner and mixing him in. And speaking of which, what the heck, Latavius Murray? What do you have? 2 touches and a fumble?
Yeah, I did the spread on the running back. 75% of the touches went to Dalvin Cook. 18% went to Jerick McKinnon, and whatever's left there, math is hard, went to Latavius Murray. So, how about that? By the way, we haven't really talked much about that. We expected the usage to be primarily Dalvin Cook. It was. But how about the fact that Jerick McKinnon was used more often than Latavius Murray? I mean, we talked about months ago how the Vikings can get out from underneath that Latavius Murray contract after just this season. I know it's just one game, but, I mean, usage has, you know, it tends to be consistent, right? I mean, two touches, that's it over the course of 60 minutes for your big free agent signing.
Well, and we had kind of expected him to be used in a goal line situation, right? And I'm not sure that there were a ton of those, you know, on the 1 or 2 yard line goal line situations where Murray would have been able to come in and be the bruiser that you need. But I agree. I mean, you know, John Perry in the chat said Murray's done. Split is between Jet and Cook. Do you guys, is that the expectation now? You think that Murray's the third back on this team and his usage the rest of the season is going to be similar to what it was tonight?
I mean, I think it's going to fluctuate depending on situations.
Yes.
I mean, I still think Murray, he's going to kind of have a leg up on McKinnon in short yardage situations. So I don't think looking into this too far is good as far as the running back situation. I think Cook got hot in the second half and they rode him. And I think that's kind of why Murray. And then plus, if you fumble your first carry, that doesn't bode well for your usage the rest of the game.
So Belichick, you get kicked off.
We got a question here that kind of ties in well with what we're discussing here from Josh Van Klump. He said, "Do you think Cook's pass blocking made Murray less useful?" Yeah.
Was Murray ever touted as an elite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was like his thing. He came in. I think a lot of us believed at the beginning of this year that Dalvin Cook was going to be the featured back on first and second, but we're going to see Murray on third down primarily because of the pass blocking efficiency and the ability to catch it out of the backfield. So yes, I agree that Dalvin Cook's blocking certainly kept Murray off the field, but Dalvin Cook catching the ball out of the backfield still, you know, probably raises some concerns. It seemed like he had some jitters there. But to the point, I mean, yeah, I absolutely think that being able to keep Dalvin on the field for 3 downs when he's hot, that kept Murray off the field for sure.
And the big Herman brings up a good point, too, is lack of reps with the team in the off-season limited his usage. Early fumble.
That's what I've been waiting to say. He missed all of training camp. He's still behind. I mean, there's just no way around that. And the fact that Dalvin Cook has earned the trust of the coaching staff and the team by the sound of it, I mean, it doesn't surprise you at all. And if Cook keeps having problems catching the ball, I think they're going to work Murray more in one way or another. If he keeps having problems catching the ball, probably more than we think. I don't think that'll be a problem going forward. I agree with you, BJ. That's probably just jitters. So we'll see. But you even saw it with the Saints where they were supposed to have this 3-back rotation. You didn't see much Ingram tonight.
No.
You didn't see much Adrian either, but even less Ingram.
The Vikings' run defense was very impressive, and that's something that we've kind of wondered. They had shown some moments even last season, where the run defense looked pretty weak. Tonight they were impenetrable for the most part.
Check this out. I got some stats for you here, Brett. To that point, Saints 21 carries tonight for 60 yards. Longest carry 9 yards. That was Adrian Peterson's first carry of the night. By the way, no running back had more carries than 7. Alvin Kamara led their team in carries. Adrian Peterson and Kamara led their team in yards with 18. Mark Ingram 6 carries for 17 yards. So 3 rushers, none of them went over 20. None of them had longer than a 10-yard game. Run defense, absolutely an A+ for week 1 against a stable of running backs that, I know we say Adrian Peterson's washed. I know we say Ingram is kind of limited. And I know that, Alvin Kamara is a rookie, but that's a very talented backfield.
Ingram is a good running back. Ingram is a good, underrated running back. Huh?
Did he win the Heisman?
He did.
I think so.
Which that's kind of irrelevant now. Sam Bradford won the Heisman too.
Yeah, he's the GOAT.
So, hey,
Ingram's good.
I have the top 5 PFF grades from the Vikings. Who do you guys think is in there?
So I won't say.
Sam Bradford, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Everson Griffin.
Not Griffin.
I didn't think Griffin had an amazing game, but
I did.
Oh, you did?
He probably got. I thought he looked really good, except for I bet you that call where he came across the line like a fraction of a second too early probably hindered him a bit.
Riley Reiff.
Yep, that's 4.
How about Elflein?
Not Elflein.
I think Austin's keying us in.
It's Harrison Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
So wait, recap those, Drew, because
it's Diggs 88.9, Bradford 87.4, Smith 86.8, Thielen 86.8, Reiff 83.1.
And that, honestly, that right there, those PFF grades, this is a perfect example of you don't need PFF to tell you that those guys played good, right?
Yeah. Right. Well, this is one
obviously,
of that.
We'll take it. We like hearing the grades, but the fact that we were able to name all 5 of those guys within about 60 seconds tells you that trust your eyes sometimes. Sometimes your eyes are actually right.
The eyes, I don't lie.
So
go ahead, Can I real quick ask something? Just really quick. I want to go back to Alexander.
What are you drinking, by the way?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This is a victory whiskey, so I'm enjoying the victory tonight. And a little Waterford Crystal. That dude dropped that ball in the end zone.
His hand was in there.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because everybody says he broke it up. I swear it went right through his hand.
Which play are you talking about?
When Waynes was covering, I don't know even the name of the guy, the Saints in the end zone. It was an incompletion kind of right on the goal line, maybe a yard deep in the end zone. I thought that's what you guys were talking about. That Mackenzie Alexander broke up this pass, and it looked to me like the pass just went straight through the guy's hands. I'm not trying to be negative about Alexander, but did anybody else see that or just me?
I think the pass would have been caught if Alexander didn't time it right.
Yeah, McKenzie scared him, man.
McKenzie didn't really break it up, but I would say he affected the play enough that the ball was not caught.
But his hand was right in between his hands. Like, he caught it down. He was trying to catch it down here, and his hand was right there.
Did it miss his hand as well, or just the other guy's 2 hands?
Okay. Look, but nobody's hand. Swear.
Hey, so I've got a stat here that's completely off the topic that we're discussing right here, but I think it's pretty ridiculous. So just want to point this out real quick. Sam Bradford targeting Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs tonight. 18 targets, 16 receptions, 250 yards receiving, 2 touchdown passes. Thielen averaged 17.4 yards per catch, and Diggs averaged 13.3 yards per catch. Longs of 44 and 30. Those are your top 2 receivers from a team that hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2009.
Amazing. So I want to ask a question off of the back of those stats, because I think I saw someone mention Treadwell in the chat. What do you guys think?
I have that written down too.
Career day for Laquon Treadwell.
So
I'm not sure exactly what the question was, but I mean,
I got it here, Brett. I have it written down. He just simply said, "What are your guys' thoughts on Laquon Treadwell's performance?" Pretty simple stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so is this? Is this the expectation basically that it's a 2-man show moving forward? Do you expect Treadwell to get mixed in a little bit more? Or?
I think BJ tweeted this, something about like he's not, at least so far, there's no reason to believe he's going to be wide receiver 3 when Floyd gets back.
People got after me for that. People absolutely got after me for that. guys, he had 1 catch for 7 yards. Like, that's great. Obviously, he's now on pace for 16 catches, which is, would blow out of the water his previous season's total, which is great. But some guy started telling me that Michael Floyd hasn't been good. I mean, last year Michael Floyd had a 12-yard reception for a touchdown when he was with Tom Brady. That's already better than Laquon Treadwell. I mean, I'm not here to promote the narrative that Treadwell sucks, but I am here to tell you that the developing storyline as it stands today, Michael Floyd is still probably in the mix to be wide receiver 3 after what we saw from Treadwell. Yeah. He just didn't. It's not a knock on him. It's more the fact that Diggs and Thielen were excellent, but the fact remains, wide receiver 3 is still up for grabs after tonight's performance.
Yeah, I'm a Treadwell truther. I can agree with that 100%. I mean, Austin, you're raising your eyebrow like you strongly disagree with it, or
no? You were cutting out my audio. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, sorry. I thought maybe because I thought we were on the same page regarding Treadwell. No, I agree, BJ. I don't think he did anything to lock down that position. He did have a nice curl route towards the end of the game. I'd have to go back and look and see how much he was even on the field, to be honest with you. I mean, it's so hard to take everything in during the game. I'm not even sure how many snaps he got tonight. Austin, we got somebody in there. Are they good or no?
It's Hoodie. So
again,
can I bring up this Andy Benoit tweet? It's possible that none of Vikings rookies will start in 17. God. Zimmer doesn't love rookies, and Vikings roster pretty sturdy already. I'm just gonna. Brian Bozer just brought it up again, so I had to laugh at it. And
was anyone was anyone surprised that Jaleel Johnson didn't play tonight?
No,
a little bit.
No.
Okay. No.
So Tom Johnson had a great sack that was negated by a roughing the passer call. A few people in the chat have talked about that. What did you guys think about that call?
I was about to draw up a diagram of where you're allowed to hit a quarterback anymore. And it's going to be about a 2-inch zone right above the belt, right in the gut. Any other way, you can't hit him in the balls, can't hit him in the knees, can't hit him below the knees, can't hit him in the head. I don't know. I thought it was BS. Apparently, it's technically the correct rule if it starts.
Maybe I watched this wrong, but did he not get either shoved or tripped or whatever, falling forward? So what is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to go in like this and just hope he doesn't hit him? Or
no, because then you're leading with your helmet, man.
What is he physically capable of doing?
You got to bend your head backwards and fall forward.
Did you see Drew Brees fall into it? Drew Brees kind of leaned into it. Dude knows what he's doing. Dude knows he's going to get the calls too. So
let's talk about that. Hey, and real quick, and then we're going to let Don back in. Actually, go ahead and do it, Austin. What were the and we'll take a question from him. How many penalties did the Vikings have tonight? I mean, I feel like it was 1,
4 or 5.
It was 4 or 5.
Yeah, I can get you that.
Oh, it did not feel like.
There were a couple BS. There was a face mask by Linval.
Oh, you know what? Yep.
Was 5 penalties for 50 yards. Saints had 6 for 52 yards for comparative purposes.
Okay, my bad. I feel like there were way less penalties than that. That's just how it felt. Maybe it was compared to what I'm used to feeling.
Maybe you were watching the Seattle game yesterday. You saw the Seattle game yesterday, and you saw those BS penalties. Yeah.
Hey, Don.
Yeah, let's not talk about that Seattle game. How about that crap Rodgers? They take back the TD on that. Is it mandatory that the Packers get 1 or 2 penalties per game?
I hate that narrative. I hate that because
why? It's true.
It's not true.
It's true.
Right?
Hold on. Let Drew bring this point home. I know where he's going with it.
Because we like to look at those 1 or 2 moments in a game where the Packers get a call. But then let's say the opponent gets a call and we just ignore it. There was an egregious pass interference yesterday that was missed that should have been called on Seattle, and it wasn't. I think it was Randall Cobb fade, and they didn't call it, and the guy drilled him mid, the ball's in the air. Didn't call it. Nobody said a word about it, at least on my timeline.
But yesterday...
Drew, name me a time, Drew, that there was a phantom face mask that led to a game-winning touchdown at the end of the game.
Fail Mary.
Fail
Mary. That wasn't a face mask.
I'm sorry.
That should not have happened, right?
I'm sorry. Are we talking about the Packers right now? Because why are we talking about the Packers?
I'm trying to. How about let's stop doing that? Let's answer this question here from TJ Awesome, because I think he asked a pretty good question. Who do you think becomes Bradford's main target, Thielen or Diggs? We already know Drew's answer to this, so Austin, why don't you give us the new Austin take on this one?
Sure. Yeah. So I dropped a link in our chat about Sam checking out of a couple plays to go into deep shots. So remember the talk about Thielen being a slot receiver, and people wondering, is that going to make sense for him to play there? Well, 2 of his deeper passes were from the slot, so he's going to be a target, and I think it's going to be all matchup based. So who's the slot cornerback? Is he going to win those matchups? But I think if tonight proves anything, it's got to be Diggs. Diggs is going to be the guy. Diggs is going to be. You don't think so? Drew,
I agree.
I think so. I'm with you, Austin.
He's not going to be a go-to guy, I don't think. I
think the answer is yes. I think it's both Thielen and Diggs will be the go-to guys. I think
That's
1 week
cheating.
Thielen might have 150, Diggs might have 150 the following week. I think it's going to be whoever has the better mismatch. Obviously,
put it this way: who's a better player?
Diggs.
Diggs.
Diggs
Probably.
is special, man.
Probably Diggs. Healthy
No.
Diggs.
Diggs is
That's the thing about Diggs. That's the only thing about Diggs is the injuries.
And I thought he was going to be out for the season after Vaccaro frickin' rocked his world on that catch.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
I think the thing with Thielen is that you'd have to go back and check, but I feel like every time there was a 3rd and long situation, you could count on Thielen to be almost wide open and snag the ball out of thin air. I mean,
That's very true.
Right, so I have the problem of why everybody thinks Diggs is better because, I'm sorry, has Thielen not been, open? Has gotten the ability to get open?
He does. But
I think it's this way. I think Thielen is reliable and consistent, but I think Diggs is a game changer. You know what I mean? He has that big play explosive ability where he could take it to the house anytime he touches the ball.
Thielen does too.
I don't know.
Thielen has that
long
too.
if you get Thielen open.
No.
That's pretty big.
I don't think Thielen has
How
that
about
like
before
Diggs has
How
it.
about before the end of the half?
He's a student of the game. He's very
He's hardworking.
very hardworking. Exactly, Brad. That's kind of what I was saying.
He's a blue collar.
Cole Beasley, if you will.
Cole Beasley, yeah. Who else we got? Danny Amendola.
Yeah. It's so funny. He's
Julian
like a
Julian
Chris
Edelman.
Hogan type.
they actually
Chris Hogan, yeah.
yeah.
And
They
his
actually
wide
interviewed him about
receiver.
that one time. He said he gets compared to like Wes Welker and Julian Edelman. He's like, dude, I'm like 6'2" almost. He's like, I don't know where that stuff comes from.
I can tell you where it comes from.
Hey guys, real quick, I
do.
don't mean to do this. Get back. I know back on Treadwell does, but when Floyd gets back, does Treadwell trade me?
Yeah, well, we just talked about this right before you came on. I mean,
Is he trade bait though?
I don't know that.
No, he's not.
I don't
He's not
think
going to
so.
get any value.
When Floyd gets back, you don't. When Floyd comes back from suspension,
What are you gonna
no,
get
he's
for
be
him?
Yeah,
traded.
because Drew said it. The value's not there. Spielman's not
There's
going
no
to part
value.
way with the #1 pick after, not even through his 2nd year. There's no way he's trade bait. No way.
But
He's going to be your
fifth
fourth
on the
receiver.
depth chart.
He'll be your 4th receiver-ish. He and Wright are kind
Yeah.
of...
Maybe
right.
fit.
Hey, Hoodie, can we talk about the I mean, I'm a pessimist, but dang, you brought it before the game today with that little vote tweet you brought out about who was going to get injured.
Oh, my God.
By the way, we should talk about the fact that no one got
That was
injured.
a very fair tweet. That tweet was extremely fair and in bounds. There was nothing wrong with that tweet.
I didn't think so.
I'm
Even that-
surprised
even
no
that
one
one-
sustained
I
a
mean,
season-ending injury.
I'm shocked too, to be honest. Hey, right before that tweet, I posted we'd win 33-16, so I want to hear about it.
Okay, well, I'm the only guy here that predicted a loss, so I'm never been happier to be wrong. Love the fact that I'm wrong.
We'd kick you out if we could. We
You
can't.
can't.
Wow, I wish
You
we could
can't.
go back and look at our score.
Why not?
Because I don't think it's possible. I run this place.
Oh,
No, it's true.
This place meaning this particular website table. Like, I actually don't think I can physically be kicked out because I'm the admin. So, look at Austin. I see him, like, looking for ways right now. He's Googling it. All right. Well, Don, we're gonna make you leave now. We love you.
that's
Goodbye.
okay. It's not the first time you kicked me out.
Nope.
I'm glad you turned a light on, Hoodie.
Not the last
Yeah,
time.
there you go. Yeah.
What's that,
I said,
Austin?
I'm glad you turned a light on.
Why?
Because you were sitting in the dark last
Because
time.
we
you
want to
your
see
beautiful
you.
face.
Yeah.
It what? Yeah, right. My ass is a beautiful face. Anyway,
All right, man. Have a good night. Thank you.
all right, guys. Take it.
Bye.
All right, we got the classic Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater controversy question here. Another one from TJ Awesome. He said, "I have a good question. I'll be the judge of that, TJ. If Bradford plays like this all season, does Bridgewater stay?"
All right.
No.
Can I talk about this for a second? Because people were blowing up my phone too, talking about Bridgewater. And my wife, I gotta talk. My wife before the game, she's like, she doesn't follow Vikings that closely. She goes, is Teddy playing tonight? I'm like, no, Teddy's still injured. He's not even, active. She's like, oh, the Vikings should just get rid of him and keep Bradford. And I almost threw something at her, and our relationship may be over at this point, to be quite honest with you. No, but I kept getting that question too, like, well, Teddy's done now. There's no way he's coming back. Okay, you guys always like to get on me for overreacting pessimistically. Can we pump the brakes, though, a little bit on Bradford being a Hall of Fame quarterback now, okay? He looked exceptional tonight. He was on another level. Never seen him play like this. And like I just said, I've never seen him play like this. So before we go, crown him the Vikings franchise QB from now until forever, can we just can we have a few more games where we get to see him play before we do that, please, and completely write Teddy off? I mean, I'm fine giving Bradford his due tonight, but I mean, can we just not try and turn this into a Teddy's done type thing?
The question was, if Sam Bradford plays like this,
okay,
the rest of the season.
Okay.
If he plays anything close to this,
if Bradford plays like this the rest of the season, Teddy's not coming back.
Right.
And that's what I said. And I don't know about anything.
If he averages 2 or 3 touchdowns a game and over 300 yards and plays like this, then yeah, I think he's gone, because he's not probably going to have another performance like this. This is one of those anomalies. But I think we're missing something. As long as Shermer's here and he's got his guy Bradford, who he's had for years. It
wasn't awful, by the way.
No, Shermer had a pretty good game outside of that stupid reverse. That was annoying.
That was
awful.
If it would have worked, we all would have been saying it was awesome.
Well, yeah, but situation-wise, you don't want to reverse like that.
I want to do like a flow chart for offensive coordinators where like the first line down is it a reverse? And it's like says yes. And then it says don't do that, and then on the other way it like has other play options after that because
is it a reverse? Yes, your offensive coordinator is Pat Shermer.
I just want to point this out real quick. Your leading passers pending Denver, San Diego tonight in the NFL. Alex Smith, number 1 with 368 passing yards, and Sam Bradford, number 2 with 346 passing yards. Those are your check down Charlies right there, leading the NFL in passing after week 1.
Just like we thought they would.
Just like we knew. Hey, on Brett's pumping the brakes point, I'm not trying to be a pessimist because trust me, I'm very excited and feeling very good this evening. But does it worry us at all that this game, at least to me, felt very reminiscent of the Green Bay game from last year?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. We have to keep ourselves in check. 5-0 last year.
Mm-hmm. It's so different.
But here's the difference though. Like last year, a lot of these games were won in like really weird ways. Besides that Packers game,
the first game,
all these defensive touchdowns. The Panthers game was absurd defense. The Panthers game last year, there was literally no offense in the first.
9 sacks. We had 9 sacks that game.
Yeah.
So I tweeted 2 things out. I said the second or the touchdown before the second half. This team wouldn't have been able to score that. They would have gone into halftime running the ball and killed the clock.
By the way, thank you, Sean Payton, for those timeouts.
Yes, Sean Payton. Yes, if not for those timeouts, they wouldn't have been able to move the ball. But
what an idiot!
Yeah, he thought he was going to get the ball back. He honestly thought
I couldn't believe that. I mean, thank you, Sean Payton, for handing us that drive. I mean, and at first it looked like typical Vikings. Not going to go for the kill. They're going to run the clock out. And then, I don't know, maybe Sean Payton calling his timeouts kind of pissed Zimmer off a little bit, and they kind of flipped a switch, had a long play to Thielen or something like that, I think. And
right up the seam.
Yep, and that was it.
Look at Sean Payton's a lot like Aaron Rodgers, egotistical, arrogant. Let's see what else. Thinks things are going to go his way. That's why he called the timeouts. He honestly thought they were going to stop the Vikings, get the ball back, and score after dinking and dunking the entire night.
Well, he called a timeout on when it was about to be
second down.
Yeah, it was about to be 3rd and 2, like super short, like very likely. Yeah.
Well, didn't he call a timeout too after we got the first down?
No, that was us. It wasn't him?
I'm pretty sure he called a timeout after we got the first down. And I was like, oh, thanks.
It was him. I was
like, you're going to still use your last timeout after we've converted the...
That was bad coaching.
Yeah, I don't really know what that was.
John Gruden was... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so speaking of... Someone's just said Sean Payton has an ego. Something I was thinking during the game, can we completely rule out the possibility that Sean Payton cuts Adrian Peterson from this team?
No.
I would love to see that.
Because I feel like Sean Payton's the type of guy that is not going to take kindly to being yelled at on the sideline.
Oh, that thing.
Well,
Are we overblowing that?
No, we're not overblowing that. Peterson.
Probably.
I don't think we are because remember we were just talking about it 20 minutes ago. This is Adrian Peterson to a T. This is how he acts, and this is an offense that operates with. It's probably the least selfish offense ever. I mean, think about how many receivers Drew Brees tends to hit on a general game. And Adrian Peterson's, complaining about not getting touches. This is the backfield you're a part of now, Adrian. You're part of a three-headed monster. Not even a monster. Maybe, I don't know what you want to call it. A three-headed something. And Peterson's, complaining in Sean Payton's ear. He's been the coach there for over a decade. Nobody has questioned Sean Payton because he's been so successful. I mean, they don't need Adrian Peterson either.
Did you guys see the facial expression on Peterson after he didn't get the ball thrown to him on that 3rd and goal, whatever?
Yeah, he was pissed.
I did not.
He was pissed.
He
was open for a little bit, but Wayne's caught up to him, but still.
He ran harder back to the sideline than he did the entire game after that play.
BJ, I agree with everything you just said. I think that's all absolutely true. Adrian Peterson is clearly in denial about his declining skills. However, what we have that I see is a situation where one of your players one of your skill players is saying they want the ball. I think Sean Payton is basically has enough wisdom and is sophisticated enough to realize, to basically not be petty about that and realize that stuff's going to happen. Good. He wants them to want the ball. Now, if it gets, I don't know, if it goes on and creates a problem, then I could see this coming to a head. But just after that one shot on the sideline, I don't know. I think we might be overblowing it a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he says in his post-game presser.
Yeah, I saw Adrian already had a quote about it.
Oh, he did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, where he was just like, I don't really remember, but it was no big deal.
He shrugged it off. He basically said he was trying to tell Peyton to run more inside zone or something, but he's like, there's no conflict. I was just making a suggestion or something.
In fairness, we've overblown stuff with Des Bryant on the sideline where he was actually just yelling and being really excited because that's the person he is. So to be fair, it could very easily have been just that type of situation. I just think that or at least for me, my understanding of who Adrian Peterson is as a person is that he was being it was more likely that he was being a dick than helpful in that particular situation.
See, that's interesting because I didn't see a lot of that happen when he was with the Vikings.
He did. He would. Okay, I remember.
I can't think of one instance, basically, like this.
After the 2015 season, after the Vikings had lost at home to the Packers.
Yes.
He made comments to the media about he needs to get the ball more, and this was after Teddy had a phenomenal game, by the way. And
wasn't that like he does?
Gotcha.
I mean,
Yeah, he said something along the lines of they didn't stick with the run, and that was why they fell behind in the game, or something like that. But
okay, so I'm gonna hit you guys with a few quick hitters. Okay, trying to get to some of these questions in the chat. So Doogie can we be a top? Sorry, it's Doogie. Can we be a top 5 defense again this year? Let's just go around the table really quick. Yes or no? Drew.
Sure.
Yeah, everyone says yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
Can and will.
Can and will. There we go. I like it. Okay, Andrew. He told us how to pronounce his last name. Drew, do you? I mean,
Simmons.
Simmons. Okay. Any changes on record predictions this year?
10-6.
I feel like this one's directed at me.
9-7.
You know what? I was at 8-8. I'll bump it to 9-7.
Yes.
There we go. Skull scale's going up, baby.
Yes. Austin, any change?
11-5.
Yeah. Wait, was that what you were at before?
I think Rowas was higher than any of us. He was messaging me during the game. He asked me if I was still scared. I said, no, I'm not scared about this game anymore, but I'll always be scared about the rest of the season. Okay, so Big Herman, 007, thoughts on Remmers. Remmers took a lot of heat during the preseason, didn't look particularly great. He said the one sack was rough, but pretty quiet night from Cam Jordan, which is no small task. Any thoughts on Remmers?
I thought his run blocking was as advertised. It was really, really good. And then besides the one sack and besides the holding penalty, I thought he was really good. The whole offensive line was in general. I think Bradford had probably extra second on average per pass to throw. That's I mean, and obviously we're comparing to the bottom of the bottom, but
right.
I Remmers all across the board. I think the pass protection is really good.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing too. Like just comparing it, because I was watching the Cowboys last night. These weren't Dallas Cowboys pockets. They were better than last year, but they weren't all the time in the world clean as a whistle Dallas Cowboys pockets. There were still guys in Bradford's face when he was making some of these throws. So, but we can't expect him to be perfect. It was improved, and they gave him enough time.
Okay, I think this will probably be our last question from the chat. How'd Andrew Sendejo look to you guys? TJ Awesome wants to know. He thinks he's going to break out this year. Is Sendejo breaking out this year?
I don't think
Sendejo probably breaking some people this year.
I was just going to say, I don't think Sendejo can break out. I don't really think he has that capacity. But I do think that he was, very solid. That's what we've come to expect from him, right?
He was beat on that long. Breeze overthrew Tommy Lee Lewis in the end zone, and Sendejo was trailing a bit in coverage on that. So if Breeze had made that, if Breeze connects on that, I think it's a different game. But other than that, I thought he was just fine.
So I just asked you guys privately, and we're supposed to. This is supposed to be loose anyway, right? So we're going to be wrapping up here. I want to go around one more time, maybe get your closing thoughts, your game ball, who you're giving that to, and then maybe a quick thought on next week's game, because I don't think we'll have a roundtable in between now and our post-game show next week after the Steelers. So, BJ, any final thoughts on this game ball, and Steelers thoughts, really quick?
One, I want to quick tell you guys that I was really right about Dalvin Cook. He was really good tonight, as expected.
Hold on. No one argued that point.
No, I'm just saying that, I just wanted to...
Do you want to talk about Taylor Heineke, though, real quick?
No, I don't. I don't want to talk about Taylor Heineke real quick.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. Okay.
Dalvin Cook really good. Trey Waynes looked good in my opinion. I was impressed with, like Austin said, 30 minutes ago, tackling. Tackling was outstanding, especially solo tackling. I want to point out that Jaron Kearse was really good on special teams, since I don't think that that's going to get pointed out anywhere else. Quigley was also, good
Quigley
punting.
Looked pretty good tonight.
I'm
sorry. Special teams, real quick though. Forbath.
That's fine.
He's 18 for 18
Why
now.
Can't we get a kicker that can kick extra points, man? Come on. I mean,
he hasn't missed a field goal.
Yeah, he's
pessimist Brett.
And they're worth more.
That is such like bending the truth. He hasn't missed a field goal. Come on.
He missed
an extra point. I know extra points are separated from field goals on a stat line, but I mean,
and by points, they're worth less.
3 points to 1.
By points.
All right, look, man. You guys remember this the rest of the season when that missed extra point cost us.
We just cut off BJ's.
Anyway, BJ, I'm sorry. I feel like I wanted to mention Forbath earlier and didn't get a chance to, so I'm sorry to derail your point. So special teams, Jermaine Kearse.
My final point was simply that Zach Strief was out for the majority of this game, and Neil Hunter did not record a sack, and honestly was not getting as much pressure as I expected. So, for all the positives that there were tonight, Daniil Hunter did not shine nearly as brightly as I thought he was going to. So, Dalvin Cook really good, Daniil Hunter underwhelming, offensive line exceptional, and Jaron Kearse continuing to build on his resume on special teams.
Okay, and your game ball? You have a game ball you want to give to anyone?
I'm going to give it to Sam Bradford. I know that's the easy choice, but I mean, how can you not give it to Sam Bradford? Maybe Riley Reiff, but Sam Bradford.
No, and I want to ask one more thing too about Hunter. How much of that do you think is Hunter had a bad game versus the Saints offense was built around getting the ball out of Drew Brees' hands as fast as possible?
It's both, obviously, but that's kind of that's standard.
And being held, jeez.
God. Yeah, a lot of holding over there.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Drew, thoughts on tonight's game? We won't. BJ, you didn't talk about the Steelers, but it's all right. We'll there will be plenty of content at VT throughout the week about the Steelers, about the Labor podcast. I'm sure you guys will be doing your preview. So anyway, Drew, go ahead.
I think Xavier Rhodes needs to be mentioned here a little bit. When he left the game, immediately the Vikings gave up like a 60-yard play. But I think he only gave up 22 yards in coverage for the game. I think that's what PFF somebody tweeted. So I think he was again excellent and kind of under the radar in the performance because he didn't have that splash play that we're used to seeing, maybe like a big breakup or something. But he was fantastic. Offensive line was much better than I thought it was going to be. Riley Reiff was fantastic. Defensively, again, I think Ben Gideon's a bit of a concern still. But I thought when the Vikings were in nickel with Alexander out there, whoever it was in nickel, I thought for the most part it was very good. But my game ball is Sam Bradford because, I mean, for obvious reasons.
Yep. Okay, Austin?
I think if you're a Vikings fan, there were a few standout performances, but if you're looking 2016 to 2017, a lot of the stuff that went wrong in 2016 looks like it's been fixed to a degree in 2017. Run fits, offensive line giving Sam Bradford time, taking shots down the field. Just the little things that caused all these issues last year have been fixed in a way that is encouraging. I don't want to say, Vikings are going 16-0, but I had a lot of fun watching this game. Probably as much fun as I had watching the Week 2 game last year. If I had to give a game ball to someone, and I'm not going to go with a popular pick, but I am going to go with a guy who I think deserves it, obviously, Pat Elflein. Stepped in, didn't look like a rookie. Give me more Pat Elflein pulling out and running down the field and just laying it out. Just more of that. That's great. I want to see him do that every game, 5 times a game. You should feel confident in a guy and an offensive line that hasn't played a single snap together or didn't play a single snap together, went out and put this kind of game together, and is probably going to get better if they stay healthy the entire year. So Pat Elflein, the offensive line, and Tom Pelissero even said it, the offensive line needed to be the MVP, and they were. So,
thank you, Austin. Sam?
Yeah, I agree on Elflein. He's an athletic dude, and he's got that nastiness to him that you really like seeing in offensive linemen. I think that he definitely wasn't perfect tonight, but he made a lot more good plays than he made poor plays. And as a rookie starting in your first game, that's what you want to see. I think he's going to be a very good player for a long time for the Vikings. Very excited about that. Then on defense, for me, it was just Anthony Barr. I was really interested in seeing Anthony Barr and how he'd sort of respond to last year's down year coming into this game. And he didn't splash a ton, which was fine, but the way he was – when he did make plays, the way he was making tackles, the way he was kind of flying around or out there reminded me of the Anthony Barr of old. In the NFL, when everybody's big and fast, there aren't a lot of guys that you see that really jump off the screen. When you see him moving around, when you see him making plays, it's like, oh, that guy has a unique combination of size and speed. Anthony Barr is that guy. So that's why I think he's the key to the Vikings defense. If he can go back to that elite status, this can be the best defense in the NFL, and this can be a historically good defense because he has the potential to be that good. Game ball, Sam Bradford said after the game he'd like to give it to his entire offensive line. I think that's a very fair sentiment. However, that's 5 game balls. We don't have 5. We only have 1. So in that case, Sam Bradford, I just think that makes a lot of sense.
I just want to point out real quick as we wrap this thing up that the Vikings had 1 sack and 0 forced turnovers tonight and still found a way to win by 10 points.
Because great pressure on the quarterback, even though they weren't getting a lot of sacks.
See, that was the thing last season, at the beginning of the season. They won with these turnovers and these defensive touchdowns and punt return touchdowns, and tonight they didn't need that.
This is a method of victory that is much more sustainable versus what we saw last year, right? That's why I wanted to make that point here, that the Vikings won with offense, controlling the ball, managing the game clock, and basically wearing them down defensively. Sam Bradford kept the offense on the field for long drives, all for 60 minutes. So
yeah, I gotta give my game ball to none other than Sam Bradford, man. Team Teddy supporting Sam Bradford 100% tonight. I mean, he like I said a few times, he was on another level. Looked absolutely incredible tonight. Offensive line, Sam, how long have we been talking about offensive line, man? If this offensive line can play like it did tonight, I'd like to see a couple more games before making any final declarations, and I still don't think it's a very deep unit. So hopefully everyone can manage to stay healthy. But if they can stay healthy and play like they did tonight, I think Bradford could have a phenomenal season, and I think the team could go a lot farther than I had anticipated this season. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out this episode. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Man, this was so much fun. It's going to be so much more fun when we win games, and we're obviously going to win a ton of them this season, right? So I am not looking forward to the ones that are not as positive as this. But tonight we're partying. Cheers to the Minnesota Vikings beating the New Orleans Saints, first game of the year. Monday Night Football for the whole world to see. We are here, and we're going to be here next Sunday. It's a Sunday game, right? against the Steelers.
It is.
Probably, I think it's a morning game probably. So Vikings got another tough matchup next week in Pittsburgh, and we will be here right after the game like we were today, taking your guys' questions, bringing you onto the show. Thank you for joining us. Visit VikingsTerritory.com for content throughout the week and a post-game recap. We held Drew when he was supposed to be doing it, but that's okay. We forgive him. Maybe he'll still do it tonight. Maybe he won't. If not, you guys know what happened. It'll be up tomorrow. About the Labor podcast. I know I'm running long. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
See you guys.